food nutrition. We've been doing some exercises for the last 2 weeks, but we'll see what kind of food we should eat and what kind of food we should avoid. And basically we'll go over whatever it goes into our mouth, how those food gets processed, and how do you get energy basically from the 3 macronutrients which we'll discuss today. Okay. So before we go into the macronutrients, so we have 3 pillars, right? So if you want to do a bodybuilding or if you want to get fit, these are the 3 pillars. One is the diet, and the other one is the exercise, and the third one is the sleep. So this is the basic foundation for any fitness. If one of the pillar falls down, or if you don't follow properly, then you're not going to get the results. If you're doing heavily exercise for 4 or 5 days but not eating the right food, no, you're not going to get results. Okay, if you're eating right food but doing exercise, but if you're sleeping only for 4 hours, still you're not going to get the results. So these 3, you must follow, in a right way so that you can get the right results. Okay, so that's why these 3 are the pillars. So if you want to stand on top of this, like Superman, you need to follow the diet, the exercise, and the sleep. We'll go over these. The exercise part we are not going to cover. Huh?
Sleep or rest?
Sleep. Yeah, sleep. You must sleep 8 hours per day, because if you don't sleep 8 hours per day, then you'll have a lot of stress, depression, and all that kinds of things. And also, you won't have enough time for the muscle recovery. Only your muscle builds only when you are sleeping or when you are at rest, not when you are in the gym. Okay, so that's why you need to have the importance of sleep is very important. Okay, so exercise today we're not going to cover. Right now we are doing 4 days split in a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, which is a good in the industry. So we'll continue that. So we're not going to cover in detail about exercise. Today is mostly about the diet. So we'll cover about the diet. Okay, so we have 3 macronutrients, right?
Per case, right?
Macronutrients. So first one is protein, carbs, and fat. Every day we consume these 3 macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat. And the energy, when you work out, you spend energy, right? So the energy comes from the food that you eat, which are proteins, carb, and fat. And the chief source of energy is the carbohydrates. And after carbohydrates, your body targets the energy from the fat. If you don't have energy from the carbs and fat, then only it will try to use the energy from the protein. Because protein itself doesn't have a lot of energy in the protein food. It's only from the carbohydrates that you eat and the fat food that you eat. Okay, good fat. Okay, we'll go over what are the good fat and bad fat. We'll discuss about that. Where does the actual energy come from? The main source of energy is the sun. Ultimately, sun is the one which provides energy to the plants, animals. From that we eat those animal foods, plant foods, and that's how we get the energy from. So that's the, if you look at it, this is the sun, and we go to, animals, plants, and other foods. And from animals, we get the protein, like meat, chicken, fish, and all that. And from plants, we get the brown rice, a lot of vegetables, all that. Okay. So first we'll go with the protein. Okay. So when you eat any protein food, that gets converted into amino acids. Right? When you eat the food, after the digestive system processes the protein, it gets converted into amino acids. So acids are the building blocks of your muscles. And for tissue repair, when you work out, when you do heavy weightlifting, your muscle gets expanding, right? You're going to grow bigger. The muscles are growing. So for that, you have to supply the protein, which are the amino acids. And it has 20 amino acids. So there are 8 essential amino acids and 10 non-essential amino acids and 2 semi-essential amino acids. The reason why we have to go this detail is the protein, if you don't have any one of these amino acids, it's like either if you have everything, then it will work, or nothing. Nothing will work. So you need to have this set of all amino acids bundled together in order for the muscle recovery or growth. Okay. So the reason why it's categorized essential and non-essential is essential is that something that our body cannot produce. Okay, there are 8 amino acids that our body cannot produce. So you must get it from the food. You have to eat fish or black beans, all those protein sources of food that you can get the 8 essential amino acids. And the 10 non-essential is something that our body produces. Like one of them is the glutamine. And so these are very important amino acids that produced from our skeletal system, and body naturally produces it. Okay. And the 2 semi-essential, the reason why they say it is they are not formed when you are at a young age, like the child age, those are not produced. But when you grow, those will be produced. That's why they categorize as semi-essential. But in overall, that's why if you look at the protein, the Optimum Nutrition, the protein box, it listed out like, these are the 8 essential, 10 essential. Everything is bundled together in one scoop of protein powder. So that's why when you drink this supplement, you get everything so that the bodybuilders, they don't lose it. Because sometimes you may not eat the right food, so you don't get all the amino acids that you need, so that you won't get the muscle growth. So that's why a lot of people go for the supplements and all that. Or eat the right food, eat the protein, good source of protein, along with the carbohydrates and fats. Then you'll get all the amino acids. So the important thing is, as I said, if you get like only 6 essential amino acids, but your body producing out of 10 only 8 of them, but if you're deficiency in on the other 2 non-essential, then it's not going to work. It's not going to help you. You may have weakness, you may have a lot of pain when you do weightlifting and all that. So that's why you need to have the, eat the right protein food. So that's pretty much it. When you eat the protein, it gets converted into amino acids, and these are the essential building blocks of the amino acids. Yeah. Okay. Now we'll go in detail. What are the protein food eat? Right. We can give an example like egg. Egg is the best and cheap protein that we can get. The egg whites. When you eat egg whites, that's the ultimate. Every bodybuilder eats that in the morning, right? And then you go chicken, fish, turkey is the best source. Okay. For vegetarians, soya milk. Milk is a good source of protein, and beans, black beans, tofu, lentils. These are for vegetarians. These are the other important protein sources, right? So just choose from this. Avoid a red meat. Mutton, lamb, pork. These has a lot of fat in it along with the protein. So this is not recommended source of protein. Go for chicken breast, lean chicken breast. Fish, you can go for Atlantic salmon. Try to avoid farmed salmon because they are artificially injecting the hormones in the farm-raised salmon. Just avoid those. And again, any food that is good, it's expensive. Any food that's bad is cheap, right? If you go McDonald's, you can get $1 ice cream, right? it's bad food. But if you want to buy Alaskan salmon, it's $17 per pound. It's expensive. So you need to plan your food for the next 2 or 3 months, and then allocate some money for food, because nobody spends a lot of money on the food. We spend money on gadgets, car, equipments, and all that, but not on the food. So when you're working out, it's very important that you have to allocate some money for the good food, which is going to be expensive. Like compared to white rice, brown rice is expensive, right? So you need to plan on that. Okay, that's my point. So now carbs. So we have 2 carbs: simple carbs and complex carbs. Okay, so simple carbs are nothing but table sugar or honey, right? These are the sugars, carbs, that when you take it, it immediately gets absorbed. Okay, it doesn't need a complex process to digest and all that, and it will immediately spike your insulin also, blood sugar also. Okay, and the complex carbohydrates, or white rice or brown rice, carbohydrates which has some starch in it. Okay, pasta, wheat bread, white bread, all these comes under carb. It takes longer time to process those food and convert those as a glucose. So both of them are converted finally as glucose. Any carbohydrates that you eat all get converted to glucose, and glucose is the chief source of energy. As I said, carbohydrates provides the chief source of energy, right? So that's why you have to pay attention to good carbohydrates, right? So it's pretty simple. Simple carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates. So we need to concentrate on the complex carbohydrates, which one to choose. If you eat white rice, it has a lot of starch in it and also a lot of sugar in it. That's the main reason for diabetes, high cholesterol, all that. But when you replace that with wheat or brown wheat, it has less starch in it, less sugar, and it has good fiber in it. Fiber is important. Fiber is like a sister of, or it's part of the carbohydrates. Right? Every carbohydrate that you take, it has some fiber in it. Like the brown rice has fiber in it. So every day, the industry says you must consume 38 grams of fiber. For a good digestive health and for promoting a good immune system. For all that, you need to consume 38 grams of fiber. A lot of people here, they're unaware of fiber, and they don't eat enough fiber in their food. Right? So how much fiber do you eat? Can you tell? Maybe 10, 15 grams from the cereal.
No, I mean from veggies and stuff. We have a lot of.
Yeah, we don't eat much. So because of that, you'll have constipation, not a good digestive system. So when you have a good digestive system, that because when you take some food, you need to get rid of the toxic eliminations, right? So for that, fiber will be really helpful. So glucose is, whenever you eat some food, it immediately converts some of these into glucose for immediate source of energy. Immediate source of energy means you're standing up from the chair, walking, or lifting something. For that, all the glucose that it's immediately processed will be used. And if you consume a little bit more carbohydrates, whatever the glucose that is not used for immediately, those gets converted to glycogen. Glycogen considered like a storage for glucose. It's like a godown for storing all the glucose that are not used. So when you eat in the afternoon, go for lunch, eat some carbohydrates, between afternoon and now, you must have used some glucose and a little bit of glycogen. But when you start your workout now, whatever the storage, the glycogen storage, the body will go and hit that glycogen storage and start using that. So you need to have a good glycogen storage so that you can spend more. For athletes, for runners, they have a diet which produces good glycogen storage. because they need to run more quickly for basketball players or soccer players. They need quick source of energy throughout that 1 hour, 2 hours of period, right? So they have to play, or for cricket players, they have to play the whole day. So for them, they need to raise the glycogen storage. So this is important to know as well, So the first energy that we'll get from the body is the glucose. Once the glucose is depleted, the body will then go and get all the glucose that are stored in the glycogen storage, and it will start using it. So if you're doing 45 minutes workout, and if your glycogen storage is only for 20 minutes, then all the 20 minutes of glycogen or energy is used. Now, where do we get the energy, the remaining energy from, right? It's from the fat. Okay, so fat is the next source of energy, that we can get from it. So here we have 4 types of fats: MUSA, PUSA, saturated fat, and trans fat. Okay, so MUSA is nothing but mono unsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat, saturated fat, and trans fat. Okay, so these two are the good source of fat. Okay, so MUSA is nothing but avocados, omega-3 fats, salmon fish, nuts, mixed nuts. Okay, so omega-3, but these are very good fats that your body needs, and omega-3 fats are something that body again cannot produce. You have to eat from the food, mainly from the avocados or from salmon fish. And the advantage of consuming more monounsaturated fat is it will, we have LDL and HDL, right? LDL is the bad cholesterol. HDL is the good cholesterol, right? So when you go do for annual checkup, your LDL may be up, HDL may be low sometimes because you're not eating the right fat. If you don't eat the good fat, then your HDL may also go down. So if you're eating a lot of fat, ice cream and all that, your LDL will go up, right? So basically, this will reduce LDL. So let me put this. So this will reduce your bad cholesterol and improve your HDL if you eat these type of fats: avocados, salmon fish, mixed nuts, cashews, almonds. Okay. So the polyunsaturated fats, it comes mainly from the source of plant, like corn oil. It comes from plant, right? Corn. And other seeds like flax seeds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, all these type of seeds that you eat. Basically it's from the plant-based oil. So this also, it also helps reducing the LDL, but not much on the HDL. Okay, just concentrate only on reducing the LDL. So you can go for the more on the first two fats. Okay, the saturated fats are the fat that are found in animal sources, like chicken. When you eat chicken, even fish, it has some fat in it, right? So any fat that you get from animal or dairy products, those are saturated fat. So here, the saturated fat is also kind of like a mix of bad and good. Okay, so you can try to avoid, but sometimes you can have it. This kind of thing. Okay, so because this will again increase your LDL, but it doesn't do any good on the HDL. Okay, so you can just mix it among these three fats, but mostly choose from the first two fats. So the last fat, we also call this as worst fat. Okay, so the examples of trans fat are French fries, chips, like any packaged products, chips, Lay's chips,
Fried.
anything that we fry it in the oil for 2 or 3 times, or we cook any like Indian samosas, bhajis, all these are trans fat. We should completely avoid it. Trans fat is the #1 enemy for heart attack, diabetes, increasing the cholesterol. So you should completely avoid French fries, all that bad stuff. Candy bars, eating a lot of chocolates. But there's one good thing in the chocolate. If you eat dark chocolate, that comes under musa. That's a good for good fat. Okay, so try to eat dark chocolate if you are a chocolate lover. Try to avoid regular chocolate. So basically, all these fats are converted as triglycerides. Have you heard about these triglycerides in your blood report? So what happens when your triglycerides goes up? That means you are eating a lot of bad fat. If you want to have a good control on the triglycerides, you need to eat good fat. Okay? So whatever the fat food that you eat, it gets converted into triglycerides. And these triglycerides are stored in your body cells. For men, it's stored in your chest, stomach, okay, and sometimes in thighs. For women, in different hip, in different parts of the body. Okay, so all those are stored as fat. If you consume a lot of high fat, that's why our stomach grows and you have chain, double chain, and all that. So once you are out of glycogen, then your body will go hit the fat or energy. Okay, so that's when you are running, exercise, doing more and more, then you lose fat and you get lean and healthy. Okay, so recently there was a news in CNN that one guy, the ship sank in the ocean, right? He was there without food for 2 or 3 days. So he must have used all the glycogen in the first 1 or 2 hours. And after that, he was wholly surviving on all the fat that he was stored in his body. Right? So that's a good example. That because more fat is good. It's not more fat is good, but yeah, fat is again the secondary source of energy. If you don't eat for 1 day, your body will get the energy from fat for walking or doing the basic activities. So that's the high level of protein, carbs, and fat. Right now you have the picture of what to eat, what not to eat. Right. I'll also send you the complete list of musa and pusa. So you can put together in your food list and see these are the items that you should eat and these are the items that you should avoid. And the protein is pretty much straightforward. There is nothing here. And avoid simple carbs. You can eat honey, but avoid table sugar. But go with the brown rice, wheat bread, which has less starch. Okay. The other important thing here, I forgot to tell this. I forgot to bring the printout also. I printed out, but I forgot to bring it. There's something called a glycemic index. Okay, that comes under carbohydrates. Any carbohydrates that you eat, the industry, they categorize for every food some number, 1 to 100. Okay, so high is, I believe it's 70, greater than 70. Moderate is 56 to 69. Low is less than 55. So I have that list, I'll give it to you guys. Basically, for every food that you eat, it has a number, 1 to 100. So you should choose the food from low to moderate and avoid the high glycemic index food. So the glycemic index is nothing but when you eat some food, they give the number based on how quickly it spikes your blood sugar. The insulin responds to the food that you eat. Okay. So, for example, if you're eating dates, it has 103. It will spike your insulin like that. It has the high glycemic index. White rice, I believe it has like 78, which will again spike your insulin. Apple has 30. So every food has a glycemic index. So you should wisely choose from low to moderate.
Glycemic index.
Glycemic index, yes. Sorry. Thanks for correcting. So again, maybe you can Google glycemic index and get the complete list of numbers. For baked foods, it has 85 or 90, I think. Any thing that you bake, cakes, candy bars, Coca-Cola has the Coke that you had has 90. So, and asparagus, broccoli, those are all in like 20 or 10 range. Okay, so that's why you should choose the carbohydrates based on the glycemic index. That's very important. Okay. So, any questions on this so far before we cover the last two items?
Yeah, hopefully you're going to talk about calories and how much
yeah.
is. Okay.
Thanks for reminding that. So, 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, right? And 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories. Can you guess 1 gram of fat?
It's too much, probably 3,000.
No,
1
come
gram,
on.
1 gram of fat.
Oh,
How many
okay.
calories? Like 1
They
gram
say
of-
1 lb normally 4,000 calories converts into 1 lb of fat. So we can make a calculation on that.
It's double that carbs, so 9 calories. So if you read any food label and it has like 50 grams of fat, that means you're consuming 9 into 50, 450 calories right there. That's how you calculate. Okay. Same thing with the protein, 1 gram. Okay. So Sai was asking how much we should eat, right? So for beginners, who never did any exercise but trying to get into the exercise, they should eat 0.8 gram per pound of body weight. So just for example, if you weigh 100 pounds, then you should try to consume 80 grams of protein. Right? Is that right? Yeah. But the CrossFit, what they say is, their range is from 0.7 to 1.2. So for beginners, go with 0.7 gram per pound. And if you're doing hardcore athlete, if you're a runner, if you're doing some hardcore activities, go for 1 gram. Okay? So basically your percentage should be 30% protein, 40% carbohydrates, 30%. This is for someone to lose weight, and this is more for CrossFit users. Okay, for bodybuilders, if you want to put bulk up and do a lot of muscle, then the percentage is 40, and 20. Okay. So in the Excel spreadsheet that I'm going to give it to you, and you already looked at it, it has that number. Now it will make sense if you go back and look at it. You should calculate out of the total amount how much fat I'm eating and how much protein I'm eating and how much carbohydrates I'm eating. So this should be close to this percentage range. Okay. So any other questions? Does it make sense? No?
Yeah.
Right. Until now, even I read about this and did a lot of research about this. I was blindly eating food. I don't know how, how this food gets converted and how this works inside our body, right? Until unless we put a big picture, then so now it makes sense. Whenever you start eating any bad food, you know whether I should eat it or not, and how much effect is going to be on your body when you eat a high fat diet, and especially the French fries, all the oily foods.
Yeah.
Those are the main reason why 65% of Americans are obese. In the United States, a lot of people eat, fast food because fast food is cheap, and frozen food. So next we are going to look at two important things: vitamin D and testosterone. And then we'll wrap it up. Okay, vitamin D is very important in exercise as well as for your overall health, because vitamin D, they call this vitamin D3, and calcium work together. Vitamin D is used only for absorbing the calcium. When you eat calcium food like milk or anything, if you don't have enough vitamin D in your body, it's not going to absorb the calcium. It's just going to go waste. Okay? Sometimes they say, I don't know if it's true or not, if you have lack of vitamin D3, whatever the calcium, it goes to the kidney, and some of the bone may get leaked through the kidney and it will pass through as a urine. The bone. You lose over the age, you're going to lose the density of the bone because the calcium is not absorbed basically. And that's why you're going to feel the first thing, the knee pain, body pains, joint pains, all that. Okay? But a lot of people, they're not aware of these vitamin D3 issues until unless they have pain. That's the first symptom that they're going to have, or depression. That's why kids, they have good vitamin D and the calcium. It's very important for people who live in north, especially in this cold weather. They need to have, because they're at the growing stage, right? They need to have the right vitamin D and calcium for stronger bones. But for us, we come from India, we never take the supplements and we're not aware of this, right? And the important thing is you cannot get the 100% of vitamin D3 from the food. It's very tough to get it. When you drink a cup of milk, you get only 25% of the daily value. The daily value is 600 IU. Okay? So when you drink a cup of milk in the morning, you are going to get only 25%. And the other source of vitamin D are salmon fish, egg yolks, dairy products like yogurt, milk, and all that. So it's very limited. So we may not consume this every day, right? So you may not get the daily vitamin D3 in our body. If you don't get it, as I said, if you take calcium and you're not going to use that calcium in your body, then that will lead to weaker bones and loss of bones sometimes. Okay? So it's a very serious issue that we should consider, and the only way to get vitamin D is A, sunlight exposure, B, supplements. Okay, so the people who live in Miami, Florida, or in India, they have a lot of sunlight all the time, right? So they, all you need is 15 to 20 minutes of sunlight exposure. Okay, basically the sunlight, the vitamin D3, you get it from sunlight through UV rays. That's the one that produces the vitamin D, and your body will absorb that sunlight rays, and your skin can produce immediately in that time frame, 15 to 20 minute time frame. You know how much it can produce? It can produce up to 10,000 IU per day. Just if you spend 15 to 20 minutes in the sunlight, that's good enough for more than daily value. For some people, for white people, it can produce up to 25,000 IU. Because the white people, the sun will absorb quickly. The more darker, it's very tough to get it. For black people, it's very hard to get the vitamin D from the sunlight. They must go for supplements. So for us brown, again we are also close to dark. I mean the black. So for us also it's tough to get it. So that's why they recommend during the midday. They have a formula that if your shadow is taller than you, then you should not spend the day outside. I mean, you should not get the sunlight for the vitamin D3. So you get that shadow during the midday, like maybe 2 or 3 o'clock. Okay. But here for us in US, it's winter, 6 to 8 months, we don't get sun. So we are not going to get enough vitamin D3. That's why you should go for the supplements, right? They also sell vitamin D2 there are two different type of vitamin D supplements, vitamin D3 and vitamin D2. They recommend to go for D3 for us. Okay. So the other thing is, some people may go in the car and say they are behind the glass, but they may think that they are absorbing sunlight. No. If you are behind the glass, you are definitely not going to absorb the vitamin D from the sunlight. Okay. So, and also the other thing is, it's very little if you expose your hands and face to sunlight, but you cover the whole body, you're not going to absorb again. The big area is the back. When it gets exposed, it will get absorbed more than your face and things. So a lot of people now ask about, if I spend a lot of time on the sunlight, then I may be exposed to skin cancer, right? But the industry says, if you spend only 15-20 minutes, for white people it takes only 6 minutes to charge, whereas for us 15 to 20 minutes. For black people, they have to spend 1 to 2 hours under the sun to get that daily value. That's how it varies based on the skin. Okay, so that's why it's very important to know about vitamin D. And in the summer we can spend it, but again, IT folks, we go in the car, we sit in the AC, work. We go home after 6, we never see the sun, except during lunchtime, right? So we have to plan in the summer or take supplements, okay? So that's about vitamin D. Any questions on that? That's why it's very important. The only way to know whether you are deficiency or not is to get the blood test. Go get the blood test. It will tell whether you are below 30. I think below 32 is deficiency. Then the doctor will recommend you to go for supplements. The safest you can go is from 1,000 to 5,000 IU per day. That's the safest, they say. The food control department, they say that's where you can go. But a lot of them, we take like 1,000 IU or 2,000 IU per day, the supplement. Okay. That should, the max you can go, maximum safest limit is 10,000 per day. Just in case of overdose, right? Don't go above 10,000 IU per day, but definitely stay within 1,000 to 5,000 range. And also check your multivitamin. It may have some vitamin D, right? So just check that and the supplements, add it and see how much you are getting it per day. And make sure you're not exceeding that limit. Okay. If you're having any weaker chance or anything, it's first thing is check with your doctor, and second thing is start taking the supplements. I can tell you that 100% of Indians will have this problem, including ladies. Ladies, especially when homemakers, they don't come outside, they stay all the day at home. For them, it's even worse. Okay, so it's very important to take the supplements and keep the vitamin D at a good level for important bone health. And for exercise, right? Because most of the pulling, weightlifting, and all that, it gets from the bone. If your bone is not stronger, you cannot perform better. Okay. So, and the last topic is testosterone. Okay. So testosterone is a hormone that's that men produces it. For women, it's estrogen. This is one of the important one for producing for muscle building, right? If you don't have a good testosterone levels in your body, whatever the hard work that you do, you're not going to gain the muscle. Okay, so that's another thing that I also recommend when you get a chance. When you do vitamin D blood test, you can also ask the doctor, hey, can I test my testosterone level also? There are pills and all that outside, but nothing works. That's what industry says. There is no, artificial pill that will raise your testosterone. The only way to raise your testosterone is exercise. The more you lift weights and the more you do heavy training, the more your testosterone goes up. So testosterone is high when you are less than 25 years old. So that's why when you're younger, when you do exercise, you can build good muscles and you do it quickly because you have good testosterone. But after 25, 35, 45, the testosterone level drops. Okay, and when the testosterone level drops, your body also will become like a soft, because when the testosterone is low, you'll have more of estrogen in your body. You don't want more estrogen in your body. Okay, that's why some people may have like manly boobs because they have more estrogen. Obese people, if you look at it, they have manly boobs because estrogen level is high on them. Testosterone is low. If you're obese, testosterone is very low. The more stronger you are, the more leaner you are, the more weights that you can lift, then that means your testosterone will be on the normal range or in the upper range. I think the range is from 300 to 800 or something. And the important thing is just make sure your range is in that limit, and go before 9 o'clock in the morning, because my doctor said, you should check your testosterone early in the morning, not in the evening. Okay, because the testosterone will be very high in the morning and it will gradually decrease evening and then night. And it's also important for your sexual life. Testosterone is the key for. So, I mean, there is no pill, but the only way to increase this testosterone level is by doing exercise, intensive exercise, and doing heavy weightlifting and all that. When you do squat, right, it will help increase the testosterone. When you eat broccoli food, it will help increase your testosterone. A lot of bodybuilders eat broccoli. I mean, there are injections. A lot of celebrities or the body they inject testosterone. The next day, pump up, ready for competition and all that. But it's not safe. Okay, so that's about testosterone. So that's pretty much it. Do you have any general questions? We can have some discussion. If you have any doubts, if not, we can wrap up. Right. So I'll give you the printout of the glycemic index food. Oh yeah. I just want to quickly draw the CrossFit nutrition simple plan. It says eat meats and veggies, nuts and seeds, some fruits, less starch and no sugar. This is the CrossFit diet. So meats, nothing but proteins. Eat chicken, fish, turkey, beans, veggies, broccoli, asparagus, all type of anything that's green or more colorful, that's good. Right? Nuts, cashews, walnuts, all type of mixed
Almonds.
Almonds. Thank you. Seeds, flax seed, sesame seeds, no, some seeds. Some fruits, there are some fruits, again you have to check the glycemic index for fruits. Some fruits are high in glycemic index. So try to avoid those. Eat like apple, persimmon, banana sometimes. Okay. And absolutely no sugar. Right? So in the bodybuilding they say avoid 3 whites. First one is white rice, sugar and salt. Not avoid, but reduce it. Change the white rice with brown rice, replace sugar with honey, go less on the salt. Don't completely avoid it. I mean, there are cases where a lot of people don't take enough iodine in their body, especially in US, and they get thyroid. So you need to have good salt also. Don't completely avoid it, but just take good amount of salt. Okay, when you eat fast foods, they put a lot of sodium. They have which is not good. So again, these are the 3 whites that we should.
Every salt is iodized salt, right?
No, some they sell the non-iodized also.
So what we buy in Costco
is iodized.
You have to watch that if it's iodized or not.
Okay.
Kosher
Now they're saying
salt.
sea salt is better, right?
Sea salt is better.
Sea salt is not iodized.
That's what they say. That's why.
Oh, better.
Better.
Depends.
Okay.
Depends on what you like.
So you want iodized salt, right?
Yeah, it is. So this is a basic CrossFit diet: meats and veggies, nuts and seeds, some fruits, less starch, and go for no sugar. Okay. They also call this as paleo diet, the diet that used to follow in the olden days. Okay. So that's pretty much it. The nutrition. So we put together a plan. The other reason why we should eat 6 meals per day is to boost your metabolism. If you want to spend more energy, do more active, then you have to split your meals into 6 and eat smaller meals than consuming big meals for lunch and dinner. Eat like a king for breakfast, as I say, and eat like a beggar for dinner. Dinner always go less, but breakfast should be heaviest, and never skip the breakfast. In US, a lot of IT folks, they're late, they wake up late, get ready, it's getting late for office, and then they just drink coffee and go to office. I used to do this when I came here, but now, no, I never skip breakfast. So lunch, again, eat, whenever you see your plate, you should see that 30%, 40%, 30%, which is the protein, carbohydrates, and fat, whether you have it in your plate or not. So that's a complete food. You should consume it for healthier lifestyle. Okay, guys, thank you for listening patiently.